Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Humblehus. Thank you for being here. We are making this beautiful scarf, tube scarf of course. If you've been following me you know, and if you're new here, let me tell you that I do love tube scarves and I love headbands and beanies. So as opposed to a regular scarf, which I feel constantly falls off, maybe that it's just me. Anyway, I prefer a tube scarf, so this is what we're making today. Let me tell you what you're going to need for this project. Now I always have on hand a measuring tape, scissors, stitch markers or paper clips. These are optional, you don't have to use them. I like to use them. A yarn needle, and of course your hook. The yarn for this project, it's going to be the same ones but different colors. So two of the same brand but in different colors. You can do the scarf. I don't know that it would look good in one color because of the waves that it has, but I mean you can, but you won't see the contrast. So definitely recommend that you use two different colors. This is the Heartland yarn by Lion brand. It is a medium for weight. It is 100% acrylic, machine washable and dryable. And the color is Black Canyon. The other color is Great Smoky Mountains. Now for this project, I'm going to be using a size 6mm hook or a size J. Okay, let's begin. You can make this tube scarf for anybody, like any size, little ones, adults. You can make it extra long and do an infinity scarf, so you can twist it and go around twice. Please, like I always say, never leave a little one, a child, a baby, a toddler unattended with any type of scarf or headband or beanie. Now the stitch we are doing today is in multiples of 14 stitches. So when we do our foundation chain, we have to consider how long am I going to want it, because I do need to count every 14 chains. But let me first show you how to do a slip knot to get this foundation chain started. Form a loop like this with your yarn. You're going to take your hook, go under that little loop, and then take a hold of this loose end and carefully start pulling it into this loop. Put your thumb on it and then put everything over your hand so that you can grab both ends, and then you pull in opposite directions. That's your slip knot. Now pull on that loose end to tighten it onto your hook. Now don't do it too tight, but also not too loose. Now to chain, it is very simple. All you do is you yarn over and then you pull that yarn through the loop that is on your hook. That was your first chain. Yarn over, pull that yarn. There you have two chains. Yarn over, pull a loop. Yarn over, pull a loop. You see? So I have 4 chains right now. And we have to, like I mentioned, work in multiples of 14. So every 14 chains are going to be one wave. So you have to consider how many waves do you want in your pattern. Here's 14 chains, just to give you an idea. So that's about 4 inches. Just play with the, with the amount of chains and then see if you like that width. I have 56 chains right here and it measures about 15.5 inches. I'm not pulling on the foundation chain. This is a good width, I like it. Now to whatever number that you've decided to make, in multiples of 14, when you're done, so like I have 56, I need to add 2 more chains to that, which is going to count as our first single crochet. Okay, so now I have 58. So let's say you have, I don't know, just 28 chains because you've decided to do 2 waves. You would have 30 chains in your foundation chain. These 2 chains that we made, we're going to skip them. So from your hook, there's chain 1 and chain 2. We will skip these 2 and work our first single crochet in here. So skip 1, skip 2, and work in there. So single crochet is you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. This is where I like to add my stitch marker. So I go in through both of those loops. That way I know that was my first stitch. The next 2 stitches, don't get confused with this one. This is the one you just worked into. So we're going to work in here and in here. These 2 stitches are going to be half double crochet stitches. Let me show you. You yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Again, in the next one, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Next, we have double crochet stitches. We need to do 2 of those. So you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Again, into the next one, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And next we have 3 trebles that we need to make into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Let me show you the trebles. Yarn over 2 times, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Again, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those last 2 loops. One more time, yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. We went up, and now we're going to go back down. We do 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. Once again, another double crochet, and I know you're getting the hang of this. If you need to go back, if I'm going a little bit fast, please do so. So there's the 2 double crochets. Now we need to do 2 half double crochets. Once again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. One more. Into the next 3 stitches, we will do 3 single crochets. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. 2 more of those. Now we go back up, so 2 half double crochets into the next 2 stitches, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. 1 more. Next we have 2 double crochets, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. 1 more. And now we have 3 trebles. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. 2 more times. And now we go back down. 2 double crochets, 2 half double crochets, 3 single crochets. So the single crochets and the trebles are 3. Now continue in the same pattern until you get to the end of your row, and then I will show you how to turn. So in case you have several waves, I'll just meet you right here when I finish this row. I am almost done with my first row, and I wanted to show you how do you know you had the correct amount of chains in your foundation row. When you're almost done with your last wave, so coming back down, and you have those 2 half double crochets, and normally if you're in between the waves you have 3 single crochets, correct? But this time you should only have 2 chains left for 2 single crochets. Okay, so if you counted everything, you did all the correct stitches, you will have 2 chains left at the end of row 1 to do your 2 single crochets. There you go. That is the end of row number 1. Now to turn, chain 1 and turn your work. I like to turn it in the same direction. Row number 2 is going to be all single crochet stitches. Our first stitch is not going to be in here. We're going to skip this stitch. We will work our first stitch over here. You see that? So we are skipping this one and working through here. And you want to work through both of these loops that you see when you turn your work. There's like 2 loops. See, in all of these. So we're working through here our first single crochet stitch. Just make sure you skip that first one. So go in, yarn over, and do your single crochet stitch. And of course you can add a stitch marker if you like. I am going to do that because I like to do that. So this row is very easy, just with all single crochet stitches. There's really no science to it. By now, you are probably an expert in single crochet stitches. Finish this row and I will show you how to switch colors for the next set of waves. I am almost at the end of this row number 2 with all my single crochets almost done. Remember that we put a stitch marker. Well, if you put a stitch marker into that first single crochet that we made, you're going to take out that stitch marker. You're going to single crochet in there as well. And if you will remember, we had those 2 chains that we skipped. These count as a stitch. So we need to work another single crochet into this chain, this top chain. You have to pull it apart a little bit. So here's that last stitch in here. I like to pull up some of the other, so this loop right here, so that it's a little bit thicker as opposed to just that one loop, because then it looks a little bit pulled. You see that? So I try to get in between these 2 loops. I hope that was, I hope that's easy to see, especially with this yarn. So sometimes you can just feel it. It just kind of goes through, and do that single crochet in there. Okay, it's a tricky one for sure. Let's switch the color of the yarn. Make a little loop like so. Kind of hold it with your index finger and your thumb. Now all you're going to do is put it on your hook and pull it through that loop that is already on your hook. Then pull on the old color of yarn that you had. Now we're replacing that loop with this new one. Okay, so drop that loose end and the old color. Keep everything tight right here. Now we need to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's turn our work. This is this first stitch. We want to work into that second one. Okay, so you're skipping this one and working into the second one. We are going to do a treble into this stitch. So this is row number 3. Oops, I almost went into that first stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker here just so that I know. Okay, there's that treble. Let's continue with 2 double crochet stitches into the next 2 stitches. Now 2 half double crochets into the next 2 stitches. And we do 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. So notice how this time first we're going down and then we'll come back up. 2 half double crochets, going back up, 2 double crochets, and now 3 trebles. Now that you know where we are, continue like this until you get to the end of the row. And I will show you how to finish this row and turn back around. Almost at the end of row number 3, I'm going back up and I have my 2 double crochets. Now I am here at the stitch marker. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to make a treble in there. And now I need to make another treble into that chain that we made over here. Like I said, I try to pull the 2 loops, but if you can only pull 1, that's fine. Let's chain 1 and turn our work. Row number 4 is going to be all single crochets once again. Remember, we skip this stitch right here and we work into that next stitch. So not in here, in here. That's where you do your first single crochet. And yes, I am going to add my stitch marker. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you how to do these single crochets. Work your way to the other end and I will meet you over there. At the end of row number 4, once again, I go into that stitch with the stitch marker, do a single crochet in there, and then you want to find that top of those 4 chains that we made and go in there to do that last single crochet. We need to switch back to the other color. As we're pulling this up to work with it again, we are going to have this loose yarn just hanging here. Don't worry about this. And don't pull it up too tight because otherwise it will bunch up like this. Pull it up and pull it through that loop that is on your hook. Now you tighten that that took the place of that old loop. And now we chain 1 and we turn. For row number 5, we are once again going to skip that first stitch. We will work a single crochet into that second stitch. Skip that one and work in here. Yes, I am going to add my stitch marker. Next come the 2 half double crochets. So we are going up the wave. Now 2 double crochets and 3 trebles. Wait, do I feel like I feel like I did a double crochet on this one. Maybe I did. Sometimes, right? Just forget what you've done. You're so in the kind of like, it's like a trance. Now we work our way back down. You know the routine. We're gonna go, back down, back up, back down, back up, until you get to the end of this row, and I will meet you at the end and show you one more time how to turn. Here I am at the end of this row once again, and I have my single crochets that I need. So I'm going to do the one here in the stitch marker, 1 single crochet, and then the other one into that chain. Let's chain 1 and turn our work. Remember to skip this first stitch and work your single crochet, your first single crochet in here, and the rest is all single crochets for this row number 6. When you are done with this row number 6, so this row of single crochet stitches, I'm going to leave you on your own. You are going to go back and repeat the steps from row 3 onwards. So row 3 to 6 will be repeated. Go back in the video to row 3 to see how to start that row, which will be your row number 7 in this case, and repeat. So with the dark color, you're going to then obviously switch to the dark color, and you're going to make as many rows as you like until it fits nicely around your neck or whoever you're making it for. Just make sure that your last row is a dark colored one, because when we close them up, when we're joining these ends, you have this curve here and you want the black yarn to fit right here. I will see you when you have that length that you want. So how did you guys do? I now have finished the length that I need, and it is, let me tell you, it is about 25.5 inches. That's the length. The width we had set, what is it, about 15 inches. We need to do 2 things. The first one is we need to cover these threads right here, this yarn. And then we also need to join the 2 sides. Since we're going to have a border on this side, we will need to do one on the opposite side as well. So I have both of my yarns on the same side. So after my last row, I am going to pull up the yarn again as usual, as if I was going to start another row. Pull it up, put that through. And now we are going to chain 2, because we need to work here. Now remember that this yarn has the chain of 4, and this one only has 1 chain when we were switching the rows. That means it's like, how many times do I want to go into each of the colors? We're going to do 4 stitches here on the dark color and 2 stitches on the lighter color. We're going to do half double crochet stitches. Obviously, do not run this black yarn along. leave that to the side, only the gray one. Just decide where you're going to put in your stitches. You're going to yarn over, go in through here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So that's my first half double crochet. Just do it around the chain. So yarn over, 1, 2, and 3. So there you have that total of 4 half double crochets on this dark color. And then we're going to do 2 on the light color. So try to find a spot to insert your hook. So there was 1 right there. And here's the second one. Now we come back to the dark color once again. That will give you basically the same amount of stitches in every color. And it'll be easy to replicate that on the other side once we do this border. Just always make sure that those loose ends are in the stitches. Continue until you get to the end of this row with your border. I am now finished with my border. You should have one of the yarns on one side and then the other yarn on the other side. I also did two half double crochets into this gray part. Now I am going to cut it off. And because we don't need this gray color anymore, I am going to yarn over and pull through that loop and tighten that. Now we get to join the 2 sides. We want to line up the gray side with the opposite wave, so it fits right into the opposite side. See, once we get it together, you won't even see where it is. You just have to make sure that they're correctly aligned. And now these 2 loose ends that I have from that bottom part, I am going to run them along as I put the 2 sides together. If you want to do that so you don't have to thread it in later. Remember, we did those 2 chains to start the half double crochets. So our yarn is down here, this dark one. We want to get it back up here. So all I'm going to do is insert my hook into that corner, and then pull up this yarn, make a loop, so you cannot even see it here. Now I'm only going to chain 1. And the reason is because we're going to work with single crochets when we close the scarf. Align them as best as you can, and you want to insert your hook first on the side that's closest to you in that corner. Try to get that loose yarn. You see that? It's right there. So I want to close that off, or I want to cover it, I should say. Then I'm going to go across also to that corner, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And because I had 2 chains here, I'm going to go into this space and also across on the other side and do a single crochet. Now I can start my rows as usual, so I can see the stitches. There's the one from this side, and there's that foundation chain on the opposite side. You should be able to just go through that first stitch and do your single crochet. Continue, go into the next stitch, and then find the corresponding one across. So this is what it's going to look like, that border. Obviously, once we turn the scarf, you're not going to be able to see it. You just keep going all the way to the end till you're over here, and then we'll do the other border. So I have now finished closing off the scarf, and this is where my stitch marker was I had lifted in. So I am going to do that last stitch in there, just basically the chain, and then also across on that first stitch. There. Look, I still have this yarn from threading it in. but I can most certainly cut that one off. This is what this looks like when it's closed off, and then when you turn it around, just works with the rest of the waves. Okay, now let's do the border down here. I did my last stitch. I'm going to chain 2. And then if you remember, we have the 4 stitches here, the 4 half double crochets, and then 2 half double crochets in the lighter gray. 4, 2. There's that first stitch. We are almost done. All we need to do is go around until we get back to this spot. I have now arrived back on this side, and all I'm going to do after I do my last half double crochet stitch, remember this was that chain of 2, I'm going to insert my hook through that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the one that was on my hook. So a slip stitch. Now I am going to cut this off. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through. And now all we need to do is get our yarn needle and start threading this in. So all you do is you go back and forth through these stitches right here. Since this side is going to be on the inside, you won't be able to see it. And you can make another knot at the end and cut off that remaining yarn. Now let's turn it side out, and you can see here's that dark border to bring out this yarn, and then here's the gray, the lighter color, to bring out this yarn. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Humblehus, or if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for being here. This is Humblehus. Bye.